Hello everyone and welcome back to another trade recap. I'm going to be covering last week's price action, which was week starting the 22nd. I did record this recap earlier in the week and then, well, I realised I wasn't recording, so that's why there's been a little bit of a delay getting motivation to do it again. So yeah, here we are. So without further ado, let's jump straight in. So let's get started on the high time frame. So weekly, we can see that we have reacted off of this supply up here, and then if we work our way back, what's the most recent demand that we're reacting off of? Is this one. Thus far from this demand, we pushed up and then aggressively pulled back, pushed up and then aggressively pulled back. So to me, either this demand is going to get a deeper mitigation before the actual move to the upside, or this is just a reaction and then we get failed, push back in, and then we're going to move to the downside. That's a potential. I just want to change the color of this. So weekly, it's like bearish intentions really after mitigating the supply up here, and dropping down to the daily. I've mentioned it a couple times where I've been saying that this push to the upside, there's just no conviction within it, so we could be seeing a bearish push down. If you just zoom out, like you can just look at like normal market structure or how you get to, or you have impulse correction. Is this now another impulsive leg to the downside? It remains to be seen. So jumping down into daily, we've had a reaction from here. What has it reacted off of? It's reacted off of this. And if we look to the left, is this a flip zone? So we see price broke here. After breaking, it pulled back in and mitigated this. And then something in here. Oh, this whole area. Yeah, so it reacted to this whole area, or even just this wick here. It's a valid flip zone in my opinion, because this is just all a chain up. Mitigation, mitigates here, we have reaction, pushes up, this mitigates this, and then we push through. But yeah, so then structurally we can see a break here, and then we had another break, and then coming into latter parts of last week, we can see now we've broken back to the downside, and then this is just liquidity. So yeah, daily after mitigating up here, you can see we had a clear change of character when we took the high and then pushed down, we'd taken the low. So then ever since this, it's just been bearish. Anything within here has just been used as internal range liquidity, just providing a reaction and no follow through back to the upside. So then every time demand holds, pushes out, mitigates the supply, and then supply is overpowering demand all the way down. And now we've taken out the lows and just been messing around down here. On the 4 hour, again, there's nothing too clear in here. Let me just, I don't even know where the week started. Yeah, so this is our 4 hour for the week within this here. As you can see, again, it's just been bearish intentions all the way down, pulling back, mitigating, continuing. Break this, come up into something within here, mitigates, we got a strong push through. And then in the early part of the week, we can see you have this buy to sell, break structure. And then again, we break here, then we break here. Again, we have a buy here, it pushes down, and then we just have like this range around, push through. I think that's all we really need on the 4 hour. We just know we're bearish. Everything else, we just follow the 15M. So then coming into Monday, let me get rid of this now. And can we see we've taken out all these lows here. So what do we expect? We expect a pullback. We've had a change of character here to the upside. We've pulled back into demand. Now demand's holding at this point. So I was seeing this as a weak high because this high failed to take out this low. And then coming into the London session, which is all over here, what was I looking at? So I had this extreme point because it took liquidity and pushed to the downside. I might have had the whole area. And then any trades within here, I was just waiting for a 15-minute chop to go bearish, because maybe this might have been a strong high, because after all, not a strong high, sorry, like part of a chain, or will have enough in it to cause a pullback, because we'd come in above into premium prices, and then we had a nice push down. This might have just been holding for the time being, creating liquidity for the downside. So I was happy to take a short if we got a 15-minute chalk up in this area. I ignored all of this price action because it wasn't well priced, even within here. And like this area here didn't really do anything. The only place I was looking at was the extreme, because it did take liquidity here. And then here you can see we had a change of character. It was only with a wick, and then it did close below. So then if I unhide, what day is this? 20 seconds. If I unhide the 20 seconds trades, after we've had that 15-minute change of character to the downside, I worked my way back to see where the demand failures and sweeps were. So you can see that prices formed a reaction here, which has reacted off of this. And also we can see here that we have a little chain forming. So this mitigated this. And then this was mitigated by this. This wick swept liquidity from this high here. So I was happy to set my entry on this wick. And as you can see, so we've had a 15-minute chop, we've pulled back in, and then I was taken out for a 1% loss. And then I was saying to myself, so what I did after that, I zoomed out and saying, all right, maybe this is just taking the low to mitigate something before we actually do take out this weak high. So then you can see here, like we have like a demand chain forming, and then at this mitigation after the 15-minute chop, it just came into this area here to clear out demand that was sitting there. So on the 5-minute time frame, it's probably clearer. So you have this demand. You have another level of demand here. And after mitigating this, it pulled back into my entry, took me out, and then I reanalyzed and said, all right, it's probably going to go to the upside now. So then what I did is, after we've had a mitigation down here, we can see we had a flip here. So the price broke through, pulled back into the extreme. So now demand's holding. And then we have another sell candle here that was mitigated by this. And we got another sell candle that was mitigated by this. And then from this point onwards, this is the thing that pushed up through and then causing another like 1M change of character to the upside, which would have been at this point here. So then my entry was based off of the last mitigation within this chain. And then I was happy to set my entry on this last sell candle for the up move. we can see here that price didn't actually break this high, but I was following the 15-minute order flow now. So after this 15-minute shock didn't follow through and entry was from here, like, yes, the shorts were probably valid from this point, but I went back to the assumption that this is a weak high that is probably going to get run. So set my entry here, 2 pip stop, and then again my break even point is at the point that causes the pullback into the entry. So once we'd broken the high, I was at break even, and then I just let price run, and I partial TP'd 80%, like just below this 4-hour POI. That was this whole range over here. So partial TP'd at 6%, 80%. I was at break even, and then after that we had a clear change of character, pushed to the downside, and then the bearish momentum started. It was a nice entry within here. If he wasn't quick enough to get that, then there might have been an entry in here. However, I was happy with that. So it was just a 1% loss here. And then, yeah, so it's probably about 4.8%, 80% of that. So yeah, that was Monday. I just hide that. Then coming into Tuesday, just put it all out there, it's easier. So this is how I had it marked up. So we had a breaker structure here. Where's the highest point before the BOS? So it's up here. So this would have been my high, and this would have been my low. So then this is where London started. So I would have worked my way back, and I had this POI marked. And I was also aware that something within it here could still have something resting within it. So as long as this high doesn't break, then bearish intentions are still valid for now anyway. So if I just unhide Tuesdays, so let's just go here. So we can see that price doesn't respect this 15-minute POI at all. I get a little reaction from something within here, it pulls back, no change of character or entry model, and then pushes straight through. It comes into that extreme point. And then if we look at what it came into, if we look to the left, we can see that price reacted from demand here. So you can see, let me just drag this across. So we've had a flip here, we had a mitigation. Then we had another mitigation here. And then this took liquidity before breaking. And then this last buy candle was unmitigated, and that's what price came into. The playing short from this level, that gave me even more confidence, because this is a 15-minute extreme, like this is the leg, and then this was the last unmitigated flip and the sweep in that move down. Obviously you have this extreme up here, but for now we're following this chain. After this mitigation here, you can see the expansion away. Price never came back to truly mitigate that level. So when price mitigated it, you can see we had an impulsive move in and then like a V-shaped recovery there. We had our change of character. There was some sort of flip within here, but truth be told, I had no idea which level to choose. So I said to myself, I'll just wait for the market to provide another entry basically. So I was just waiting for price pulled back, taking the high. I think it was at this point here. So we took the high here, and then we took the low, and then I dropped to the 15-second time frame because the 1 minute was not clean. Price came into one of these levels over here. So after breaking, so you have that clear push through, and then I was looking at it like this. So we've had like a reaction here, push through, we've come up, we've come into this buy candle. So then this is a potential chain forming. And then I was looking at this whole area here for the entry. And then as price pulled back in, I market executed there, 2 pip stop. And then my break even point was straight after at this low that caused the pullback into my entry. And I was targeting just this demand down here pretty much, because it swept liquidity and mitigated the extreme here. So once price pulled back into this level, I said to myself I'd partial most of my trade and just let the rest run, see what happens. So that was 5.3% or 90% of that, so whatever that is. And then yeah, that was the only trade I took in London, I think. Oh no, I took this trade as well, yeah. So at this point, I'm just waiting to see what the market does now, because we have our strong 15-minute high, and this is the 15-minute week low. So then price takes out the low. So then what happens after? Now we have a break of structure. So then we have our extreme point. An expectation order flow suggests after a break of a low or taking of a low, we expect a pullback. So I was just watching the market push up. We have a reaction to supply here. We look within here. So I have a little demand chain forming here, but then also before this high went, we have a reaction, we pulled back, and this swept liquidity here. So this was my first POI that I'd be looking at to get a trade from. I wouldn't be happy setting a limit here because we had outstanding demand areas just below. So what I did is I waited for price to come back down. We've had a mitigation of that now, and then I was just looking again just for the entry mode to confirm that this POI was strong enough to push price back to the upside. So we've mitigated that demand now. Got a reaction. We've had a break now, and there was no sweep within the reaction, so my entry was on the extreme point here, 2 pip stop, and I was just targeting 5R back to these highs. Just tagged in there, and I'm at break even once the high that caused the pullback into my entry, and full TP there, so that's 5%. So that was my London. Yeah, and then in New York, we'll see what happens. So we chop out to the 15-minute. We can see that we're quite range bound now. So the 15-minute didn't actually break the low. So hence, I had in the back of my mind, so for this long trade, in the back of my mind, this high could have been weak. Although it's part of a chain, this high could be taken. It's down for the market to show us like what's going to happen, so then we react after. So that's why I was happy to take this long trade, because this high here wasn't strong because it didn't break and close below the low. Then once you get bullish intentions after this external range liquidity sweep, this high could be targeted. I'm not saying it is, but it could be. And again, now we've come back in, we've mitigated this sweep. So we can see demand's holding here. So yeah, after this mitigation of the extreme and we've pushed down, is demand just holding to create liquidity for further to push through basically. So we have clear lows formed here, so we have liquidity built, and I was working my way back to see what had been mitigated and what hadn't. So if we look up in this area, we have a pullback, push up, this reacted to this, and then I was just looking in here, so this mitigated this mitigated this was mitigated this. You can see within here there was a little sweep. So this was an outstanding area I was looking at. And then we've had a buy, push down, this wicks pushed into this. So this could be an area of interest. So now I have two areas of interest basically that I'm going to be looking for sells. The 15-minute structure is still bearish at this point, but just zooming out you can see we're in a clear range. So these two trades I'm about to go over within here probably aren't the highest probability. However, this is what I saw in the moment. So we've had a mitigation of this area over here, we've had a change of character, and then I was seeing this as a supply chain. This into this buy candle mitigated by this. So then I was looking to play my entry on this. So I had my limit set here with a 2 pip stop. And price was correctively pulling back, and we had an impulsive move into it. And that was this supply chain here going to be strong enough to push price lower. Tagged in, tag straight out, so that's 1% loss. And then this area is still valid, like we've just pushed into it a bit deeper. Now we've swept this high, and what happens after? We have a reaction from demand, we have a sweep within it, and then we push through. In hindsight we can see that this push through isn't very convincing. We have just a corrective move down. So this should have been a warning sign for myself not to take this entry as well. And we're just pulling back down, and like we can see like the impulsive move up, and then we had a corrective move back into this area here. So at this point in time, just based on this, like the market wanted higher prices, so you can see that through the momentum in the candles. But I had my limit set on this flip sweep before the demand failure, and then I was tagged straight out again. And at this point here, as soon as I was tagged out, I set my limit on this. So this entry was tagged in at this point here, because this was the extreme point to me. That was the last unmitigated area within this whole supply chain down. So all of this liquidity generation here I saw as a great target for this trade. Like if it was going to keep pushing higher and through here, then I'd just look to re-enter from this, and then if it broke that, then 15-minute EOF was now to the upside. So at this point here I was tagged in, and my break-even point is down here, but that was also my target, so it was either going to be a win or a loss. Tagged in, it came back up again, and then full TP at the lows here, and that was 7.32R. If we just hop out to the 15-minute, we can just see how much of a mess this area was. And then now we have a break structure below, so if price pulls back into this area, you can again look for shorts. But the highest point before the break is this. So anything within this top region for sales after this break would have been okay. But that was my Tuesday. If we just hop out, 15 minutes. So I believe on Wednesday I only took one trade and it was a loss. So after we've had this break of structure here, so we can see this is low, high, low, high, lowest point here. So now I was looking for a pullback into what? This was the area I was looking at because we had a sweep within here. And then after this buy move, I was seeing this as a whole supply chain here. Buy move, taking liquidity, push through, break structure. So once price came into here in the morning, this is how I was viewing the market. So wait, I should just hop out again. So you can see here we have, because this is going to be important, we have this 15-minute inside bar which reacted to something over here, I believe. It just pierced through this level. But anyway, this was the last thing that held price, and then we've continued to push higher at this point here. So now we've had a break here. So our change of character point would be here. We can see demand is holding. So it was at this point here now, I was happy to look for an entry. We can see I've had a series of mitigations here. So let's mitigate that. Let's mitigate that. Just mitigated that. So then after this continued push through, I was happy to put my entry on this point because we had our higher time frame 15-minute mitigation, 15 minutes bearish, so break structure, pull back in, and then we've had another lower time frame supply chain start. So 24th. So I set my entry based on this area here. And as price came back in, tagged in at this point, my break-even point would be down here. You have a nice reaction. I was thinking, yes, she's going to see lower prices now. Like my target was going to be this low based on expectation of order flow. But I was just tagged out for a 1% loss. And then after this point, I went to play tennis as I do on a Wednesday morning, and this is when the entry came. So price just induced these highs and just came back into something within this week over here, I believe. Yeah, before providing the entry. And over here, but this is outside of my trade now. So you see we're taking a high here, taking a low, come back in, mitigate this area. So yeah, that would have been a golden short if anyone managed to catch it. And that was the only trade I took, so that was a 1% loss. And could have held that for a long time. So then coming into Thursday now, again, we had another break of structure to the downside. This is the highest point over here. And this is the structural leg. Then where within here could we see a reaction? So this is still in Asia, so I wouldn't have been awake. We see we're reacting from something. What we're reacting from? We're reacting from this here, which is part of this. That's the valid area. It flipped that. And if we do, is it well priced? Yeah. It's well priced in the premium of the leg, so that's fine. Price is respecting this demand. We've broken that demand now. What time is this? 6:30. So then, is this going to be supply chain formed now? So we'll see. So no trades were taken at this point because we've had a little 15-minute chop to the upside. So I waited for clear confirmation that price was going to drop from this level, because for all we knew it could have came up into one of these higher prices up here. So we've had a strong reaction from this extreme, and now we've had a 15-minute chop. So if I unhide Thursdays. Oh yeah, so at this point here, so once we've had the 15-minute chop here, that confirms to me that this low's weak, because this low failed to take out this high. We filled all of this internal range liquidity, mitigated the extreme, and then had a nice reaction, 15-minute chop. So I know this low is weak as well, because it failed to take out swing structure high. So if bearish intention gets start from here, well, this is target 1 or full TP target. And then my other target was something within here, because there was like a chop here, so we took this low, and then we took this high, and there was a flip within here. So I knew that we could see a reaction from here. If we hop down into the 1M, I should pull it back a little bit. So this is the 15-minute chop point, this low here. Plus, I'm not looking for any trades at this point, so we're reacting to demand. We had a sweep within that reaction. We've now pushed through. So if I work my way back, like this was my entry point, because this is where it swept all of these equal highs, and it also did it mitigate this? Yeah. So it also mitigated this demand candle here, this buy to sell, which flipped this. So now in my head I'm saying this is a new chain formed here. So I set my limit on that. Tagged in. This is with a 2 pip stop, looks quite big. And then as price broke the low that caused the pullback, I moved to break even. And I was tagged out for break even, and then I executed again straight away. And because the trade's idea is still valid, and now we're just forming this chain, so then mitigation. As long as it doesn't take out these highs, then my chain is still valid. So after taking a break even, I executed again straight away. And at this point I'm at break even. Broken the low that caused the pullback into my entry. I partial TP'd most of my trade here, which was 5R, and it was also in that flip area over here. And then I let the rest run to this low where I just full TP'd, which was 9.7R. And then we can see after the fact that I'm pretty sure it just continued to die after that. Yeah, so he just held on to that. Could have been a hefty trade. And that was my week. There was no trades for me taken on Friday. I did take a paper trade that I can quickly go over. So we've come into this, again, weekly demand, and I think at this point, yeah, we're taking out the daily low, and we was just coming into this extreme POI here. We've had a 15-minute change of character to the upside. And then price has pulled back into this area down here. Oh, let me just delete this. So after the 15-minute chop, now I look for entry to go along. And then where would my entry be? I based it. This was only a paper demo trade, just remember that. We had this this is where I'd like to say the point of transfer happened at this point here. Everything down here was sort of mitigated. This pulled back into this area. Oh, I just missed it. However, this is where we had the sell to buy that pushed through and broke and like transferred from supply to demand. So I set the entry here with a 2 pip stop, and then TP this high. So that would have been 12R if anyone managed to catch that. And then I think there were some lovely shorts, but I was done trading at this point. So after taking out the high, we've come into something within here. We've then, so this is the highest point. If you class it inside bar as a change of character, you had change of character here. And then you can just see that as a supply chain pushed down, swept within here. This is called the brick structure, pulled back in, mitigated, pushed down, mitigated. So yeah, this would have been the entry for the shorts. Yeah, and you could have banked some dough going long and then short back down into demand down here. But yeah, I hope you took some value away from this recap. Did skim through quite a lot of the trades, but there wasn't really much to go in depth about them. Quite simple stuff really, and it's the same stuff every week. But yeah, take care guys.